So we've talked about general appearance of healthy plants. We want to be selecting healthy plants when we buy our plants. Okay, we want the plants to look to have healthy leaves, to have healthy stems, no yellow leaves, and no physical damages. So next is not to look at the soil. You need to observe the soil because it will indicate whether the plant has a potential of being infected by fungus. The surface of the soil should look clean. There should not be any dead leaves or dead stems being left on top of the soil surface, because these are potential areas for fungus to grow. So we need to make sure that the surface of the soil is clean of these dead matters. Okay, because once fungus begin to grow on the soil surface, it can actually infect the plant. Okay, and next is to lift the pot itself. Okay, pick up the pot and try to feel the weight of the pot. Okay, it should not be feeling heavy, because heavy pots indicates, well, unless the plant itself is a very large plant. If otherwise, usually the pot itself should not feel very heavy. If the pot is heavy, the next thing to do is to look at the soil, because heavy pots can indicate that the media that is growing in may not be suitable. Why I'm saying that it's unsuitable, because sometimes certain nurseries they use clay rich or rich earth as a media for growing the plants. While this may be suitable for outdoor grown plants, clay and rich earth being used as a media for growing indoor plants, they are not suitable because of certain reasons, which I will talk about much more later in other courses. But choose a plant that is grown in a lightweight soil. Touch the soil with your fingers and feel the porosity. You can actually feel if you press the surface. Let me just get a plant and show you. Okay. If you press the surface of the soil, it should feel a little bit spongy. Okay. And it should also indicate that it is airy. Okay, spongy and airy. We need that characteristic of it being airy, or in other words, when it is airy, it is also porous, because light and porous media will help the root system to grow strong and healthy. So if you find that the plants are being grown in rich soil or in clay rich soil, don't buy those plants. Okay, unless you are planning to grow your plants outdoor in your porch. If you are planning to grow your plants indoor in your office or within your office building, try to avoid those kind of soil media for your plants. I sometimes would still buy, even if the plants are grown in clay or rich earth media, because sometimes I can't find the same plant elsewhere in other nursery. So what I would do in that case is, when I get home, I will change the soil. I will clean up the roots and transplant the plant in a more porous and lighter media. I know I told you that you should not be transplanting your plant immediately, But in emergency, I would call this as an emergency case. In emergency cases, it is acceptable because let's say that if you were to leave your plant in the clay-rich soil, it may be more detrimental to your plant. So now you have one or maybe several plants in your office, and you are ready to take care of it. So what are the routine maintenance that should be done to make sure that your plant is healthy? First and foremost, make sure that it's watered correctly. So you have to get the watering right, okay, as I have explained earlier. Secondly, you should also be fertilizing it. I know that sometimes we feel like oh, I don't need to fertilize my plants. It doesn't need it. They are also living things. They need to eat. They need to have certain nutrients, and they only get it from fertilizers. These plants are not grown outdoor or in the nature, whereby they get dead matters, dead leaves that are composted into the ground, and these are the materials that they will recycle and use up for food. Well, they are being grown indoor, so they don't get the same environment. So we need to help them by giving a boost through these fertilizers. Okay. Otherwise, you will find that for some plants, they may still be growing, but they will develop very small leaves and they will be easily infected by pests. And thirdly, I think this is something that many people overlook. Cleaning the leaves. It is as much important as watering and fertilizing, because if you think of plants living in nature, they get rain all the time, and the rain will wash off the leaves and clean the leaves naturally. Well, indoor plants do not get rain, so we have to take the initiative to clean the leaves. What we can do is we can take a clean cloth, wet it a little bit, wring it, and use the moist cloth to wipe the upper surface and the lower surface of the leaf. And also, if you can find time, you can also wipe the stems as well. It's important for the leaf surface to be clean because leaf surfaces contain stomata, and this is the pores that are being used to breathe in carbon dioxide during the day and breathe in oxygen at night time, and also to breathe out oxygen during the day. So they breathe in carbon dioxide and they breathe out oxygen, and they do this through the small pores, what we call as stomata, on the leaf surface. And imagine if you don't clean the leaves, wipe it clear of the dust that is accumulating on the surface, it will clog up all these pores, and it is not going to be good for your plants. Okay. And lastly, when you do your routine watering, check your plants as well for pests. Okay, I'll talk about pests after this. Look closely under the leaves, on top of the leaves, at the nooks and the crannies of the branches or the stems. Sometimes the pests are hiding in between branches, and you might not notice it until it is too late. So look closely at your plants. Not every day. You don't have to do it every day. Just do it every time you water your plants. It may save you a lot of time from trying to salvage it and clean it up from pests, and also using insecticides to clear up the pests, okay, which is not good for the environment. So let's talk about the common pests I personally have encountered during all these years that I've been growing plants. The common ones are three types. Okay, the first one this is the most common one, the mealybugs. You can easily identify it on your plant because it appears as white spots. Sometimes it looks like a white cottony spots. And if you look closely, you can see the bugs. Okay, these are all the mealybugs. These are adult bugs. Sometimes they can be smaller than this. That is maybe the adolescent bug, but this one definitely is this one on the picture here is definitely the adult bug. Okay, so and then if you look at closely at the other leaves on this area, that and the area at the bottom here, the infestation is already quite heavy. So what you need to do is that's why during your routine watering, look closely at your plants and look for signs of pests. And if you see the first sign of mealybug, which appear as white spots, clean it immediately. So this will actually prevent it from spreading to other parts of the plant, which will be good because if you identify it at the early stage, it will save you a lot of time, and it will save the plant as well because you do not need to use insecticide at this point. You just need to physically remove it with a clean cloth, a clean moist cloth. Okay. Next in line are the scales. Okay, this may be a little bit difficult to spot on your plants, especially if you're not used to growing plants. But the one general rule is if you inspect your plant closely and you see suddenly there are some brownish or whitish, usually it will appear as like light brown spots. Okay, like the ones in these two pictures. If you see this brownish spot suddenly appearing on your leaf, try to scratch it with your nails. Okay, I usually would scratch with my index fingernail. So okay, let's give an example here. Let's say if this plant, okay, it does not have scale, but I'm just going to demonstrate. Okay, let's say you suddenly saw, okay, a scale here on the surface of the leaf. What you do is you just use your index fingernail and try to scratch it just slightly onto the brown spot. And if you find that you scratch it and it comes off, then that is an indicator of scale trying to grow onto your plant. If let's say there's a brown spot here, I try to scratch it, but it remains. So there is not scale growing on your plant leaves. Okay, so if it is scale, you scratch it off lightly with your fingernail, then it can come off. Okay, and if you do that, it comes off, then you should look for more of those brown spots elsewhere on the plant itself. Okay, because as similar to the mealybugs, if you can spot it early, you can treat it early. Sometimes it's just with a little bit of scratching here and there, you can remove everything. But if, like in this picture here, it's already heavily infested, the plant is already heavily infested, it will take more than a few scratches, okay, for you to remove. It will take forever, but you can still do it if you love your plant so much, you want to salvage it, you can still do it. You have to scrape off the scales as much as possible, but at the same time you have to be gentle because you do not want to damage the surface of the leaves. And after you're done with the scraping, you need to spray with some sort of insecticide. You can use organic insecticide or even the synthetic insecticides because these are insects. Okay, but once a plant has been infected with scales, if you have treated it, you should continuously look for signs of infection. Every time you do your routine maintenance, because sometimes it can reappear. Okay, if you've inspected it for a few months and it doesn't reappear, then maybe most of the scales have been eradicated. Okay, so